This is a story of a woman's journey through cancer treatment and her discovery of everyday miracles.
Hi, my name's Judy, and I just want to tell my story about never giving up.
Judy is no stranger to the cancer diagnosis. In 2002, she was diagnosed and treated for breast cancer, and in 2012, during her hysterectomy, doctors discovered she had appendix cancer.
I had some issues with my uterus, so they went in to do the hysterectomy. She looked around and she saw my appendix looked odd, and just by chance, the doctor in the next operating room was someone specialized in doing appendix, and he came in and looked at it. They did a quick biopsy on it and said yes, it was cancer. So they took out my appendix in 2012.
Years later, Judy started having health issues. She would go to her doctor, but the problems never went away.
And I've been in and out of the doctors, and they kept saying, well, you have an infection, or they give you an antibiotic. And then I got to a point where I couldn't bend, and I went to the doctor, and I said, something's wrong. So they ordered a CAT scan.
The scan showed several spots on the liver, and the doctor ordered a biopsy. Later, the doctor called Judy to give her news of his findings.
The doctor had called me on the phone to tell me I had stage 4 cancer. You know, I was like in shock. I mean, it'd been a couple of minutes, but I was like trying to process what the doctor had said. And this friend had called me. He goes, what's wrong? And I said, well, nothing really. And, you know, but I needed to say something to somebody. And so I was able to, I took it as an angel that he was able to, I was able to get that initial scare out of me. And I thought, what a miracle that was that he called at that time.
It's just one of those cases that, you know, I was probably just sitting there and turned around and there was my phone and thought, I think I ought to call Judy. And when I first called, I was sort of, wow, something's wrong. It was not what I was expecting to hear. And when I heard it, I just thought, Judy, you're going to be fine.
Doctors informed Judy and her family she had cancer, but it had not been determined what type of cancer she had. Her daughter Shelley remembers when she got the news.
I remember just sitting here crying, just thinking, this is not right. Like, she shouldn't be having to go through this again, and now it's stage 4, and she had mentioned that if she was a high-level stage 3 or stage 4, that she potentially didn't want to do any type of treatment.
After many tests, Dr. Chandramouli was able to report what type of cancer Judy had and the recommended treatment.
So when we found out what type of cancer this was with this mucinous adenocarcinoma, which is where we had talked about doing the surgery, where they would go in, try to clean everything out, and then instill the heated chemotherapy to try to kill as many residual cancer cells as possible that weren't removed. And at that time, I only knew of the closest area being San Diego.
Judy's family had been struggling for a few weeks, trying to figure out lodging and travel expenses for the San Diego trip, when they received a call from her doctor.
Because we were told we were going to go to San Diego, and then all of a sudden, after like a few weeks of like trying to figure out how we were going to go back and forth from San Diego, where we were going to stay and everything, we got a call that there happened to be a doctor here just over off of 90th and Bangerter, and we were, I mean, there's one of her miracles.
The miracles didn't stop there. Just before the surgery, Judy had to make financial arrangements to be able to move forward with her treatment.
You know, I had insurance, but, you know, it was an 80-20 split, and I don't have money to do this. I can't afford to pay for it. I called the doctor and asked her how much she would charge for what was her deposit that I needed. And she said she was just going to charge whatever the insurance said. She wasn't going to charge me anything else. And I thought, oh my, you know, so I start crying and I said, thank you very much. So I called the hospital and I said to the hospital, I said, how much is, what kind of deposit do I have to have? The hospital put me on hold and they came back and they said, oh, you've met your deductible. Your insurance will pay 100%.
Dr. Judson Lancaster was only in Utah for 2 years. Judy had surgery on July 3, 2017. Dr. Judson Lancaster left her practice August 9th.
So I took that as a miracle.
When I first came to Jordan Valley Medical Center, no one in Utah does this therapy, and generally patients get referred either to the East Coast or the West Coast to have it performed. She went to some other physicians in Utah who didn't give her a lot of hope, because in general, when these cancers return, people don't do very well. When I saw her, she was clearly very sick, and the cancer had grown so large that she had a difficult time even bending down because it caused so much discomfort. I knew as a gynecologic oncologist that I could go in and take the majority of the cancer out. She understood that she would need additional chemotherapy afterwards. So I took her to the operating room. We did a very, very big surgery. The hyperthermic intraperitoneal chemotherapy, or HIPEC, is infused for 90 minutes in the operating room. So you put in the tubes, you close the incision, you infuse just regular saline, and the fluid continually goes through, and then we add the chemotherapy, and then that infuses for 90 minutes. While that's infusing, we move the patient on the bed so that it gets to all of the areas in the abdomen, and then one of us sits on each side and we move the abdomen to get the chemotherapy to get into all areas inside the abdominal cavity. So this patient did quite well with the surgery. You know, obviously there's a lot of nausea involved afterwards, both because of the chemotherapy, but also because the surgery, especially for her, was so large.
It was harder than I thought it was going to be. And there was 3 times that I felt like I wasn't going to make it. I had, I'm going to call them miracles for right now, because that's what they were to me, were miracles. So I was in intensive care, and I could just feel myself slipping away. And a nurse came in and, you know, started talking to me, took me by the hand, and then I could feel myself, I don't know what else they did, but I could feel myself coming back. And that happened to me one more time in the hospital. I went to stay at my daughter's house. I remember laying in bed and I could just feel myself leaving my body. And she has this dog, Maya, and I think Maya sensed that I was leaving, because Maya came up and wanted me to pet her. And she stuck her head under my hand, and I couldn't move my hand. And that dog kept nudging me. Like, in that period of time that this dog was making me pet it, I finally could move my fingers, and I could feel the energy come back into my body, and so I call that dog my little savior. If I would have been by myself, I would have just slipped away.
Some people would not call this event a miracle, nor would they call the dog a savior. Perhaps there is a different explanation.
I just feel that my mom throws out good karma in the world, and good karma comes back. I just believe that she deserves these miracles, if that's what you want to call them. Like, she's just that type of person that will be there for anybody, and she hasn't had an easy road. I don't know what I would have done if I would have woke up to my mom not being here.
What I always tell patients is, you know, don't let this rule your life. You know, you get out, do everything you're supposed to be doing otherwise. Yeah, I know we can't cure you, but I know we can treat you, and I think we can maintain your quality of life, and I think you'll live longer.
Enjoy the little things in life, because one day you will wake up and realize they were the big things.
you.